stop it, please.
Saying that, a man and a woman were frolicking around, giggling tee-hees as they stripped down in the liberating outdoor pool in broad daylight. The guy laughing with that silly face is unfortunately my husband, Bob. Normally, this would be a time I'm not home, but due to some circumstances, I happened to come home and witness this scene. I was so shocked I couldn't find my words, and the shrill voices of Bob and the woman were incredibly irritating. Amidst all this, they started talking about me.
Hey, do you think your wife knows that we're in here, taking a bath in the middle of the day, drinking and having a good time?
That voice, I've heard it somewhere before. With that thought, I held my breath and stealthily peeped through the window. I felt a surge of anger welling up in my chest. How dare they, not knowing I, his wife, was watching from the garden window. Thinking you wouldn't get caught doing this in broad daylight? The fool here is you. I wanted to confront my husband and his companion right then and there. But I held back, because by tomorrow, my name is Naomi Henderson, just your average working mom. I married Dave a few years ago. We met at a local bar, while having a drink. Dave and his group, seated nearby, approached my colleague and me, inviting us to join them. Sober, I'd never entertained such a pickup attempt. However, that day, with the stress of work behind me, I was in high spirits and pretty tipsy, so I decided to take them up on the offer. Drinking with Dave and his buddies was surprisingly enjoyable, and I didn't sense any ulterior motives. Because of the good impression, I exchanged contact info with Dave, and we began meeting up for drinks regularly. After a few of those outings, he confessed his feelings, and we started dating. Looking back, it might have been his unique way of approaching, but I genuinely felt his sincerity, so there's nothing wrong with that. Most importantly, being married now and living happily is all the answer I need. Dave works as a sales rep for a major tech company, so he always seems busier than I am. But thanks to that, he does earn a decent paycheck. Being a dual-income household without kids, we're a bit more financially comfortable compared to our peers, and so far, we haven't had any worries about our future. However, for better or worse, life's turning points can come unexpectedly. And one day, I took a weekday off as a replacement for working on a weekend. So after sending Dave off to work in the morning, I was catching up on household chores. However, something had been bothering me. Lately, there's a clear gloominess in Dave's face. But when I ask him, "Are you okay?" all he replies with is a short yes or Even if I were to pry if it's a work-related issue, all I can do is listen, being more tech-oriented myself. I don't quite understand the sales-specific interpersonal dynamics or things like quotas. As I was pondering over this, suddenly I heard the front door open. It's still morning. I wondered anxiously who could be entering our home, Yoon announced, only to find Dave appearing in the living room. You scared me. I thought an intruder came in. Did you forget something? Caught off guard by his sudden words, I struggled to grasp what Dave was saying. However, mulling over his words, I quit. I could somewhat guess. You mean you quit your job? Dave simply nodded in confirmation. Dave, who always said work is fulfilling and going smoothly, suddenly quitting his job. What on earth happened? I wasn't sure what to say, but from his demeanor, what happened? Then, Dave slowly began to explain. However, his explanations were all about how he felt. I'm tired. My mind feels foggy, and I don't want to do anything. I don't want to see anyone. There was no clear reason given, and as if he had said everything he wanted to, Dave suddenly became silent, giving only short responses. I've never seen Dave like this before. Well, just because Dave quit his job doesn't mean we'll struggle with our day-to-day living. For now, Dave's health is the top priority. Thinking so, the next day, I somewhat forcibly took a reluctant Dave to the hospital. Dave was diagnosed with mild to moderate depression. Probably got overwhelmed with his busy work schedule. Regardless of the severity, the doctor we consulted seemed to be the type not to rely solely on medication. To rest well for a while, and when possible engage in activities like walking, and we'll see how it goes. I wasn't sure if that was the best decision, but if he can recover just by resting and exercising, nothing's better than that. However, from that day on, Dave just lay in bed and showed no signs of wanting to exercise. Come to think of it, Dave was never really the athletic type to begin with. It's unlikely for someone like him, feeling so down and without any motivation to even think of taking a passive walk, let alone an active one. But I couldn't just let him be in this state, so one day I asked him, if walking is too much, how about doing something you'd like? Maybe there's a hobby you couldn't pursue because of work, reading, gaming, movies? I can help if needed. Upon hearing this, Dave looked at me with blank eyes, and after a few minutes, he came up with an unexpected response. His answer was completely unexpected. If he just wanted to visit a green place, we could have done that as soon as tomorrow. But wanting to start over, his answer was completely unexpected. If he just wanted to visit a green place, we could have done that as soon as tomorrow. But wanting to start over, I do want to fulfill Dave's dream and wishes, but I can't just instantly say sure. So all I could muster was, well, maybe in the future, that could be an option. But after that day, Dave would often say, I feel like I'd be better if I were in the countryside. Hearing such comments constantly can be disheartening. I'd heard that depression can affect the whole family. Maybe this is what they meant. At this rate, we might both end up drained. Maybe I should seriously consider Dave's wish of living in the countryside. From that day on, I began researching about moving to the countryside. To my surprise, I found a pretty decent rural village, just 2 to 3 hours away from the city by car. With this, Dave's medical visits wouldn't be problematic, and I wouldn't have to quit my job. Determined, I made up my mind. Hey Dave, if you like this place, we could start living in the countryside pretty soon. What do you think? I said, showing Dave the computer screen with information about the rural village. Dave's eyes widened, and he looked at it intently. Then, after what felt like forever, he showed me a genuine smile. And with that, we started the moving process right away. We bought a single-family home in a rural village with a mortgage and started packing up our current house and belongings. The new home had a traditional Japanese design, reminiscent of the good old days. Surprisingly, the bath required firewood and was an old-fashioned wood-fired tub. One has to be cautious. One wrong move could lead to severe burns. The interior didn't feel overly outdated, and since it was well-maintained, I was keen on the purchase. Dave seemed to regain some energy knowing we're moving to the countryside, and he eagerly helped pack. Seeing Dave even slightly more energetic assured me that this decision might have been the right one. Following the moving truck, even Dave, who's usually calm, was noticeably excited this time. And so our life in the countryside began. As the movers were unloading our belongings, some local villagers watched us from a distance, curious about the new arrivals. I decided to approach them and introduce ourselves as the new neighbors. Although they were our neighbors, the houses here were spaced far apart. Just walking to the next house was a few yards. Because of this, greeting everyone required quite a bit of walking. However, these villagers all seemed like good folks, offering kind words like looking forward to getting to know you and thanks for coming by. Some even offered, take some cabbage from our garden, or if you ever need anything, just let us know. Considering they probably didn't even know what kind of people we were yet, such kindness isn't something you'd often find in the city. With this warm welcome, I began to think that maybe we could fit in nicely in this village. I was filled with hope and anticipation. However, that hope was soon to be dashed. We hadn't fully grasped what it meant to be part of a tight-knit and established rural community. It's about 2 weeks later, I began to feel a certain unease. Namely, the local villagers wouldn't make eye contact with me anymore. However, even at that early hour, the villagers, especially the older folks, are already up tending to their gardens or working in their fields. For the first 2 or 3 days after moving in, I could exchange smiles and greetings with these people, but lately, they don't even look in my direction. Some even blatantly ignore me. On top of that, I've had run-ins with a drunken elderly man. One day, when I got home early from work, I went to the grocery store on the outskirts of the town. It's a popular spot for the locals, and I usually see the same faces whenever I go. While shopping, I suddenly felt someone touch my behind. Startled, I turned around to find a drunken elderly man. Some older folks living in rural areas can't quite keep up with modern social norms, still believing such behavior is acceptable. Once before, when something similar happened, I told the man to stop, only to be told by an older woman nearby, "Oh, let him have a little fun." But I wasn't going to tolerate it, so even in the store, I spoke up saying, "That's not okay." Then the man said something shocking. "What's the big deal? I heard about you, lady. Heard you're quite the skilled lady of the night. Apparently, you're pretty good at it. Maybe you can show me next time." What on earth was he talking about? I'm just a regular office worker. I've never worked in any nightlife industry, not now, nor ever in the past. That's not true. Who told you that? Well, pretty much everyone in town's saying it. Confused, I pressed him for more details. Then, whether because he was drunk or just talkative, the man spilled the beans. It all started with David never leaving the house, it seemed. While I was at work, a local had come by, wanting to share some wild vegetables he picked from the mountains. But David stayed holed up in the house, refusing to come out. This kind of behavior happened a few times, and soon enough, the town was buzzing with rumors about us. It started with the unusual notion of a woman working while her husband just stays home, and spiraled into claims that I was involved with the mafia and David had gotten mixed up in it. That's why he'd fled here, and was now laying low. The rumor mill just kept churning, and the story kept changing. Now, the rumor seems to have settled on me being a lady of the night, and that Dave and I eloped together. Can we believe that? Sure. I feel bad that David may have brushed off the town folks' kindness. I thought as long as I got along well with the locals, everything would be fine. Guess I was a bit naive on that front. Because of all these rumors, both David and I often feel the weight of malicious stares from our neighbors. Lately, I've been getting more than my share of lecherous looks. Give me a break. Even in the city. I never felt this way. No matter how many times I tried to clarify that the rumors were completely false. To the townsfolk, the truth or falsehood of it didn't matter. All they cared about was a juicy piece of gossip to spice up their chat. In essence, we just became the talk of the town. So every day, I'd go to work feeling like I was running away, suppressing the feeling of not wanting to come home, only to do it all over again the next day. I started to regret moving to the countryside, feeling the strain of it all. But on one particular day, when I felt like I was on the verge of losing my sanity, surprisingly, someone extended a helping hand to us. The person was a lady named Yoko, who was about 20 years my senior. She lived about a mile away from our place, and apparently lived with her husband and daughter. Twist her tape turns out, Yoko had moved to the countryside over a decade ago, and had faced the same sort of rumors and scrutiny from the townsfolk. Kino, I heard the rumors about you and was worried. All this gossip, true or not, can be exhausting in this tight-knit community. I know how you feel. Yoko then decided to come and visit me. Having met someone in this town that I could truly call an ally for the first time, tears streamed down my face from both relief and joy, and I told Yoko everything about my journey here. From now on, if you ever need anything, even the smallest thing, just let me know, whether it's just needing a hand around the house or anything else. They say rumors only last for so long. Let's help each other out. That's how I met my first trustworthy villager. Yoko always looked out for us. When I was at work, she'd discreetly check on my husband, Daisuke. Sometimes, she'd bring her daughter, Jessica, and help with our neglected garden. Jessica, 3 years younger than me, is back from college for the summer break. Although younger, her experience in this village makes her incredibly reliable. Based on so much Yoko and Jessica did for us, for which I'm deeply grateful, teaching me how to chop firewood was especially appreciated. Though having a wood-fired tube was great, I couldn't get the right firewood, so I'd just end up using the shower, rendering the tub pretty much useless. On weekends, Yoko's whole family would come over, or my husband Daisuke and I would visit Yoko's place. We'd chat over tea and deepen our friendship. As a result, the rumors gradually decreased. Though some people would still say unpleasant things, it didn't affect me as much as before. All thanks to Yoko, I could finally say our dream of country living had begun. Moving to countryside didn't change the cooking or laundry much. It makes sense since the number of people didn't increase. But cleaning was a different story. Back when I lived in Tokyo in an apartment, it wasn't as spacious, so cleaning didn't take much time. However, a house with a yard and a second floor is a whole different ballgame. Cleaning is a big job. Yoko always says, I'm here to help anytime, but I think I should be able to clean my own house without relying on others. Just come to think of it, I've had a similar experience before. Of course, this all started the day Daisu quit his job and came home in the morning. It's only been a few months since that day, but our lives have changed dramatically. However, it's not all bad lately. Daisuke has been smiling more than he used to. I hope eventually we'll think moving to the countryside was a good decision. While I was pondering this and cleaning the bathroom, I noticed some hair that caught my attention. Daisuke sports the common short hair, and I have a bob cut. But the hair I found on the bathroom floor was clearly longer than either of ours. They were probably as long as one's back. I remember Yoko always ties her hair at the back of her head, and if she took off her hair tie, it might be this length. That means she might have come over to clean the bathroom while I was out. If that's the case, I'll need to thank her again. At that thought, I tried not to dwell on it too much that day. However, that long hair started to appear in the bathroom more frequently. if it were in any other room. I wouldn't mind since Yoko visits quite often, but the bathroom, that's a bit odd. Indeed, finding someone else's hair in the bathroom time and again felt creepy. So I decided to casually ask Yoko about it the next time we met. "Yoko, have you ever seen our bath?" I asked her out of the blue, and she looked puzzled. Maybe that wasn't the best way to ask, but Yoko didn't seem flustered and answered my question.
I've seen it from a distance, but never been in. It's a Goemon bath, right?
That's pretty unusual. You usually hear about wood-fired baths. What do you ask? Now it was Yoko asking the questions, and in my panic, I blurted out something nonsensical like, "Oh, no reason, just thought you might like to try it sometime." However, from Yoko's demeanor, then whose could it be? Could it be that our bath has some kind of eerie history, having a chill run down my spine? I decided to confront Daesuk directly to get to the bottom of it, and the response I got was completely unexpected.
Here's Sepapian. Oh, I don't know, maybe it's Naomi's. He was clearly rattled. Sweat appeared on his brow that wasn't there before, and he wouldn't meet my eyes.
That's when I realized I was turning a blind eye to something. Yes, the possibility that Daesui was having an affair. Normally, you'd first ask your husband about a strand of hair you found. Especially since he's almost always at home, there's no way Daesuk would know where it came from. But I didn't want to think about that, and ended up beating around the bush. How is it? I had to ask him directly. "Hey, you know something, don't you? How can long hairs just appear in the house if you're here all day? What, you saying we got ghosts? That's nonsense. I mean, if it were a haunting, we wouldn't be talking a few strands missed here and there. It'd be a whole clump. A clump." Despite my pressing, Daesuk kept saying, "I don't know. I can't tell. Maybe there are such ghosts, who knows?" refusing to spill the truth. And finally, he played the illness card saying, "Do you want to make my mental state even worse?" Those words really ticked me off, and I snapped, "Enough," before storming back to my room. After that for a while, I suspected Daesuk of cheating but couldn't catch any definitive proof. Perhaps he became more careful, or because I confronted him, the unknown hairs in the bathroom stopped appearing. In a way, that's as good as admitting to an affair, but it's all circumstantial evidence and doesn't amount to physical proof. Despite Daesuk's nervousness and the regular discovery of hairs, suggesting he's bringing women to the bathroom, I find it incredibly frustrating not to be able to take decisive action. Yet, life goes on and work doesn't stop for personal turmoil. One day, as usual, I drove from the village to the city, went to work, and carried out my tasks like any other day. Then, during lunch break, as I stepped out to grab a bite from the convenience store, someone approached me.
"Excuse me, you're Nancy Honda, right?"
A woman I didn't know approached me, saying just that. When I turned around, it was clear she was pregnant, her belly prominently rounded. She told me she had something she wanted to discuss, and her name was apparently Reiho. Initially, I thought it might be some sketchy group solicitation and considered brushing her off and leaving. It was creepy that she knew my name, but it wasn't strange since I wear a badge with my name at work. But Reiho didn't just know my name.
"She had something to tell me about Daesuk."
Here's the story Reiho told me. Reiho was a junior employee at the company where Daesuk used to work, and it seems they also had an affair. One day, it appears they had a contraceptive mishap while together. My eyes were drawn to Reiho's belly. So that's it. Feeling neither pregnant nor sick, I was overcome with nutshell alongside my anger. But Reiho, unconcerned with how I was taking this, continued her story. Reiho apparently told Daesuk, "If I get pregnant, I want to keep the baby." However, for Daisuke, Reiho was nothing more than a fling, or if his fling were to get pregnant, there was a risk I could find out about the affair. At the very least, a child would serve as living proof of his infidelity. Figuring this, Daisuke seems to have told Reiho, "Absolutely not. If it happens, I'll give you money, so get an abortion." Oh yet. Reiho never even told Daesuk whether she was pregnant or not, leading to the current situation. As on the other hand, Daisuke, perhaps due to the fear of his fling being pregnant, and rumors somehow spreading at work about his relationship with Reiho, seemed to be slowly losing his mind. Talk about reaping what you sow. And so, as a result, he quit his job and moved to the countryside, where he's at now.
"I'm not gonna tell you to break up with Daesuk."
I just wanted him to acknowledge his child. It's sad for a kid not to have father, isn't it? Reiho, with this single-minded intent, used a private detective to locate Daisuke's whereabouts. And as soon as she found him, she learns that his wife, that's me, is still commuting to the city That's why she reached out before I could. It's such a headache. As I was pondering who Daesuk's current fling could be, an old flame shows up. And to top it off, she claims she's pregnant with Daesuk's child, even though there aren't any kids between me and Daisuke. Felt the needing some time to sort things out in my head. That day, I just exchanged contact information with Riho and told my office I was feeling under the weather so I could leave early. Just wet tree. Anyway, I need to talk to Daisuke. With that thought, I headed home, and as I got out of the car, I felt a slight unease. Steam was coming out of the bathroom window. It's fine to take a bath in the middle of the day, but this is probably... I crept up to the bathroom from the garden, listening intently. That's when I heard Daisuke talking with a woman. Hey, do you think your wife knows we're enjoying a midday soak in a hot tub, sipping drinks, having a good time? That voice sounded familiar as I peeked through the window. If she knew we couldn't meet up and have fun like this every day, could we? And chuckling together, Daisuke and the woman by his side were oblivious to me, his wife peeking through the window from the garden. I couldn't believe he was cheating on me with her. Part of me wanted to confront Daisuke and his companion right there, and then as they cozied up, but I was so shocked. I couldn't even find my voice, and I hid from the bathhouse view, hugging my knees and helplessly crying. Where'd I go wrong in life? That thought crossed my mind, but I quickly rejected it, though I wasn't the one who made a mistake. It was definitely Daisuke. I won't forgive Daisuke, not by a long shot. He won't get off easy in the divorce. With that resolve, I started to prepare from that day forward. The next day, I discreetly called over Mrs. Yoko and made a request. Please, don't tell anyone in town, and certainly not the family. Can you promise me that? I asked with a serious look, and Mrs. Yoko nodded, understood. I think Daisuke is having an affair, so I plan to trap him. That's why I need you to make sure he can't escape. Mrs. Yoko looked shocked at first, but after thinking for a few seconds, she said, All right, let's do this thoroughly. It's on the day of reckoning. I lied to Daisuke, saying I was off to work and drove away. I left the village, parked my car in a lot, and got into Mrs. Yoko's car to head to the nearest station. There, we picked up an accomplice and wasted time until it was likely that Daisuke would be cheating. As steam rose from the bathroom, we made our move. First, I snuck into the house and collected all the clothes Daisuke and his lover had shed. Between, I tossed those clothes into a roaring fire, adding them like logs to the flames. After all the clothes were burned, I kept feeding the fire, increasing its intensity. Then, from the direction of the bathroom, there was a splash, followed by screams. How dang it. That's hot. I'm gonna get burned. This is bad, so hot. The other woman was also yelling. No, hurry up, urging Daisuke to get out of the bath. Now, this might be a slight digression, but are you familiar with how to use a wood-fired hot tub? These hot tubs have a metal basin at the bottom, which is heated directly by a fire. This method warms the water, but it can make the bottom too hot to enter. So to prevent burns, you would step on a floating wooden board at the bottom of the tub. I had tampered with that board. I had split the board cleanly in two, and then glued it back together so it didn't look out of place. But I used heat-sensitive adhesive, so as the bathwater got hotter, the glue bond weakened, and the board split again. That's how Daisuke and his affair partner ended up scalding their feet on the hot metal basin and rushed out of the bath in a panic. But when they dashed out to the changing room, their clothes were gone and there stood Yoko waiting.
I hoped so much this wasn't true, but it turns out you were Daisuke's other woman, Jessica.
Out there in front of her mother and busted for cheating, Jessica had to face the music.
Why is Mom here? No.
Jessica freaked out. Daisuke was babbling excuses. This isn't what it looks like. But he was cut short, for a woman appeared before him.
Daisuke, I'm pregnant with your child.
Seeing Riho materialize, Daisuke picked, Why are you here? Well, Yoko and I had gone to the nearest train station to pick her up for this payback. I also headed to the scene late and told Daisuke straight up, I know everything, your past affairs and the current one. Why should I comfort a mind sick from cheating? Why should I support a jerk like you, moving to the countryside for you, getting up at 4 a.m. every day to work and come back home? No way. What do you think my life is? We're getting a divorce. Hearing my fury, Daisuke tried. It's not like that, and my mental illness is real. But I couldn't care less. Why should I worry about the illness of someone who belittles me? As Daisuke tried to make excuses, his former mistress, Reiho demanded, You'll acknowledge the child, right? and you'll pay child support. Meanwhile, his current mistress, Jessica, was being scolded by her mom. Atako, you little IT. Meanwhile, Daisuke retorted, there's no way I'm recognizing the child. That an abortion, even now, to which Jessica responded, I never thought Daisuke could be such a person. He's the worst, Mom. Listen. Daisuke forced me to, trying to shift the blame, causing Reiho and Yoko to become furious once again, turning the situation into utter chaos. A few days after the chaos, I successfully divorced Daisuke and demanded alimony for his affairs from both Jessica and Reiho. Reiho, his former affair, agreed to my demands and then seemed to ask Daisuke for child recognition and support. Moreover, the gossip about Daisuke and Jessica spread quickly through the town, and it seems they were shunned. Well, in such a close-knit old-fashioned community, this outcome was to be expected. The only person I truly felt sorry for in this whole payback was Yoko. Despite her kindness in a time of need in our small town, I ended up repaying her with betrayal. Just with that in mind, I apologized to Yoko after a while, only to be told I'm the one who should be sorry. It's not your fault, Naomi. In cases like this, no matter the circumstances, the cheaters and their partners are to blame. So really, it was my daughter who did wrong, not wanting to make matters worse by denying it. I accepted her apologies, since Jessica's affair with Daisuke was an undeniable fact. After divorcing Daisuke, having no real interest in country living, I gave him the house, mortgage and all, and moved back to city life. Question whether Daisuke, now ostracized and jobless, can pay off the mortgage is none of my concern. Let him live however he pleases with Reo or Jessica. It's not my business anymore.